Am I the asshole for deleting my cousin's precious wedding photos? I, 17M, agreed to take wedding photos for my cousin Sarah's 26F wedding. She wanted me to take photos of her getting ready, our grandmother putting a family heirloom necklace on her, the first look, the wedding, the reception, etc. There was also another photographer, a friend of the groom, who was taking photos of the groom and his side getting ready, and he was also taking photos at the wedding reception. Since I wasn't a professional photographer by any means, I told her I would only charge $50 for the entire day. And when I say entire day, I mean it. From 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. I was with her taking photos and basically being harassed by her, her bridesmaids and my aunt. She was a full-on bridezilla the entire time, not just to me but basically everyone including her husband. It was a long day to say the least. So after all of that I went home, edited the photos, and copied them onto individual USB drives for people she might want to give them to. I texted Sarah a couple of days later to let her know they were ready and that I would happily meet up with her to exchange them for the $50. She never responded. For the next 3 weeks I texted, called, got in touch with her mother, my aunt, and even stopped by her house to try and get the photos to her. She evaded every single attempt. 6 months passed since the wedding and I was at the movies with my other cousin, 19M, who was Sarah's younger brother, and a couple of our friends. He tells me, by the way, Sarah was wondering when you were going to give her the photos. She said she would pay you the $10 if that's the only reason you're talking so long. I was livid. First, it was $50. Second, that was the deal from the start. I told my cousin this and said to tell Sarah if she wanted them she needed to contact me within 2 days so we could meet up, with the payment, or I was going to delete them. This might come as a shock considering the title of this, but she never contacted me. The 2 days passed, I deleted the photos and erased the USB drives. Less than a week went by before my aunt called me in a fit because I threatened my cousin into paying me when she didn't have the money. I told my aunt that she has had a little over 6 months to pull together $50, which she knew was the agreed upon amount, that she refused to respond to me no matter what I tried, and that it was too late now because the photos were gone. My aunt, uncle and a few other relatives have been refusing to talk to me or my parents because I deleted precious photos that can never be taken again, all because of greed, literal quote. My mom thinks I should apologize and am just being stubborn. However, my older brother thinks I held onto the photos longer than I should have, and that I should have deleted them after the first week of trying to get into contact with her and being dodged, ignored. So, am I the asshole for deleting my cousin's wedding photos? She had a whole wedding, and then couldn't get $50 for the photos? IIN 6 months? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Sounds like the photos weren't very important to them. Kind of dumb on your part to delete them all though. Should have kept them and jacked up the price when they ask for them. It's not like having a thumb drive is a burden to you. Not the asshole. I don't see how you could have tried any harder than you did. She obviously didn't care about seeing the photos if she'd been ignoring you for 6 months. Not the asshole. I couldn't imagine asking a family member to do all that, then not to pay them, not to reply to them, then lie to other family members about what was promised. She realizes an actual photographer for the full day charges around $2,000. Not the asshole. The photos couldn't be that precious if the bride wasn't able to get in contact with you for half a year. Especially after you tried to get in contact. Am I the asshole for making my sister listen to her daughter scream? My 33F sister, Marnie, 35F, has a 3-year-old daughter, Annabelle. I love my niece very, very much, but Marnie sets down no boundaries for her. Everything Annabelle does is age appropriate, but as a parent, it's your job to help your child become the best person they can be. When Annabelle doesn't want to do something or needs to get her way, she screams. It's very, very loud and hard to ignore. Marnie and her husband instantly give in. As a mom of 4, I completely understand it's hard to hear your child cry or be upset. And sometimes, yes, absolutely pick your battles. But others, the toddler can't win. Around the holidays, Marnie and I hung out a lot with the kids. At one point, we were headed to an aquarium. Marnie started going one way and Annabelle started screaming. Marnie turns around and heads in a direction that'll add 15 minutes to our route. When I asked why, she said that Annabelle likes passing a certain landmark on her way. However, Annabelle then started screaming she didn't want to see it, and halfway there, we turned around. It added more time and my kids were annoyed. I let most of this go as Annabelle is not my child. It isn't my vehicle or house where these predicaments take place. But then Marnie broke her leg while her husband was out of town. She needed help getting around and tending to Annabelle. I agreed they should stay with us. Last night, we pick up our kids from school, stopping at Annabelle's preschool last. Once we finally get her in the car, she didn't want to leave and Marnie let her just run around for 10 minutes, wouldn't let me grab her because she's the boss of her body. I'm exhausted. I still have to get home and cook. As I'm heading in one direction, Annabelle starts screaming for me to go in the other. I calmly explain that way is longer and we don't have the time. Marnie asks me to just make it easier, she doesn't want to hear her scream. Going that way will add more time to our drive. I say no again and keep driving, putting on some kid-friendly music. My kids are trying to distract Annabelle. Marnie starts crying, saying things like, "It's okay, baby. We'll be home soon. Oh, I know you're so sad. This isn't very nice." The thing is, Annabelle stopped screaming. Keep in mind, she never shed a tear, just screamed, after 5 minutes when she realized she wasn't getting her way. Marnie later told me that I was horrible for forcing her to listen to her daughter scream. Would it have been so hard to not add stress to her? My husband agrees that I did the right thing but also pointed out Marnie and Annabella are going through a stressful time. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, that poor kid apparently won't be learning appropriate behavior anytime soon. Not the asshole. It's your car, and you're not being paid to chauffeur her daughter around. When she drives she picks the path home, and you kept mum. They can afford you the same respect. But you can't change how your sister parents her child. You can only distance yourself from the spoiled brat she's raising. Not the asshole. Hopefully Marnie and her husband will learn to set healthy boundaries with Annabelle. Does Annabelle behave like this at preschool? Holy God, your sister and her husband are huge Oz. The level of entitlement your sister has as you're caring for her kid and her. Fuck that noise, pun intended. I'd let her navigate the broken leg and screaming toddler on her own. You have 4 kids of your own, that's harder than dealing with 1 kid and a broken leg. Source. Was a step-parent to a very moody 4-year-old whilst in a wheelchair and with a broken arm. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your sister will raise a monster if she can't handle a tantrum. Annabelle seems to have adjusted just fine. Marnie needs to as well. Hold your ground while they're staying with you. Annabelle will be better for it in the long run and maybe Marnie can learn too. Am I the asshole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is planning to propose? My 27 female best friend has been dating her boyfriend, 26 male, for over 5 years. A while back he reached out to me to help figure out ring size and the setup so he could make this the most magical day for her. Having known my friend for over 20+ years, I know exactly how she wants her proposal to go and who she wants to be there, so I relayed all this information to him months ago via texts and over the phone. I even took the time to covertly find and confirm which ring she would love the most. A little background. My friend is incredibly family and friend-oriented, and in the past expressed to me on multiple occasions, especially during holiday season, that in the 5 years they've been together, he hasn't really made much of an effort to indoctrinate himself into her family or friendships the way she has for his. While I do generally like him, I have always felt that he is incredibly self-serving and self-focused. Recently, through a mutual friend, I found out he started a group text between his, emphasis on his, friends and his family to set up the time and date of the proposal. He has not only excluded myself, and according to the screenshots I've seen, he is doing everything verbatim I suggested he do, but he has completely excluded her family and other close friends from the event. He is planning on only having his boys and family present for the occasion, and knowing my friend this would ultimately break her heart not being able to share this moment with her loved ones. I got heated and called him. At first he was dodging my questions, then just outright said, "This is my proposal and I've spent enough time and money to choose how I do it, just be happy for your friend. It's not like you're not coming to the wedding." This infuriated me, and to make matters worse, I ran into her mom and dad at the grocery store and subtly asked if they knew of any possibility she was getting engaged. They were unaware, and I know for a fact my friend has told him that he needs to ask her parents for their blessing. She's somewhat traditional. My friend wears her heart on her sleeve, and I can predict how this event will go down when she sees all of his close friends and family and none of hers. Considering her previous sentiments about his lack of interest in her family life, she will 100% see this as being hurtful and selfish, and I know she'll cry. To make matters worse, the location of the proposal is a whopping 30 minutes from her parents' home. I don't want to get involved in a fight or reveal the surprise, but on the other hand I feel I owe it to my lifelong friend to help her avoid being hurt and disappointed. Maybe even helping her rethink what her future would look like with someone who just doesn't really appreciate what she values in life. So, am I the asshole if I tell my friend her boyfriend is going to propose? Edit. I did not tell her parents. I covertly inquired if he had spoken to them yet about proposing since it's been 5 years, like in a joking way. Edit 2. The proposal is scheduled for this weekend. I will give you guys an update on how it goes. After so many responses, I have decided not to say anything and to let things play out. I gave him an opportunity by expressing the need to invite her parents and friends like she's always wanted, and he chose not to. That's on him, not me. Do not tell her. As much as you know her and want this proposal to go as planned, it is ultimately up to her boyfriend how he wants to do it. If your friend is disappointed, then that can be her sign to discuss with her fiancé about moving forward. It is not your place to tell her or intervene at this point. Oh, hell, let the guy royally fuck up his proposal. It's not like you haven't warned him. You can't tell him anything, anyway. I hope your best friend sees her intended and all his family flying the red flags. Sadly, YWBTA. Don't tell your friend. I completely understand why you want to, but hear me out. Let this dude show his true colors. If you get in the middle you seem petty and jealous. Let him propose his way, and when your friend comes to you and complains you can kindly and gently tell her that you tried to get him to incorporate her friends, family. Then you can gently ask her if she wants to spend the rest of her life with a man who doesn't honor her wants, desires. I repeat, just let this play itself out. YWBTA if you interfere prior to the proposal. You are the asshole. Stay out. Far, far away. Let this play out. It's between them. You should not have told her parent either. If she hates the proposal she can say no. Not the asshole. But don't stop him. He's showing his true colors. Let him do it. You shouldn't stop her from experiencing this, even if it ends up hurting her, but you can be there to help her pick up the pieces if you are right about how this plays out. Just be ready with the pint of ice cream and some girly films for when it all goes wrong. Am I the asshole? I didn't attend my son's wedding. I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife. Quick backstory: after graduating high school my son moved 3 states away for college. At 19 he married a girl he met. I tried convincing him to wait because I personally felt he was too immature. They both dropped out and moved back here to his hometown. At 20 they had their first child, a beautiful little girl. 16 months later, my dill gave birth to their second child, a little boy. After the first baby, my wife and I noticed our dill wasn't happy. We both thought it was PPD related. Just after the second arrived, my son and his wife separated. She would bring the kids over for a visit. It was then she began unloading on us. I know there's 2 sides to every story, but considering I know my son, I believed her. I sat my son down numerous times to speak with him regarding his marriage. He refused to take responsibility, blamed her for everything even when I directly pointed out where he was the sole problem. They got into counseling. For a year things were okay, on the surface. Our dill filed for divorce. My son 3 days later was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later, they were engaged. My son had forced his then-wife to become a permanent som at the birth of their first child. She of course had no other family or friends here, she knew no one aside from us. She had nowhere to go with 2 small children. Unbeknownst to our son, my wife and I helped her financially and got her an apartment. Before the divorce was even finalized, we received a wedding invitation. I made it clear to my son, I would not be attending and they would not have my blessing. His mother told him she would see to it that I would attend. I stayed consistent in my decision. I also asked him not to bring his fiancée around our house out of respect for the mother of his children. The wedding happened on February 11th. The night before, my wife gave me the finial push. I did not attend. Our daughter also did not attend for the same reasons. My wife picked up our grandkids, got them dressed and attended the wedding. My daughter and I decided to spend the evening with his ex. I couldn't imagine her sitting alone, while her kids attended their father's wedding. She was taken aback that I didn't end up attending his wedding. We took her out to distract her mind. I just wanted her to know, she'll always be considered family to us. My daughter also made a joke they can drop the in-law status and just be sisters now. She was very tearfully grateful. I realized just how badly she needed our support, and specifically on that night. The next morning, my son called to tell me how much a horrible father I am for not attending his wedding. Few days later he caught wind that I spent the wedding evening with his ex. He said that was the ultimate form of betrayal, and further myself and his sister would have to earn an relationship with him on his terms only. Not the asshole. Our deal filed for divorce. My son 3 days later was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later, they were engaged. Ew. The best children are the ones you choose. Not the asshole. This is funny, you have to earn a relationship on his terms. I think he needs to check his offering. He's way overvaluing what he brings to the table. Not the asshole. It sounds like you're a reasonable parent who acknowledges when your kid is being an idiot. I don't see anything wrong with you choosing to support the mother of your grandchildren who he seems to have left in a bad spot. Not the asshole. He wanted a trophy wife, immediately got into a relationship with another woman when he got divorced, and tried to manipulate both you and her. Unlike some comments that will undoubtedly come, the relationship you have with your ex-Dill is yours, not dependent on him. Good for you for helping her out through this difficult time and for standing with the son. Not the asshole. And you win Phil of the Year award. Your son seems to be very, very immature. You received an invitation and already made it clear you would not attend. And the way you helped the Dill is a testament to what a kind man you are. You and your daughter have the morals your son will never be able to see.